सकल्यान गुणार्णवश वन्दे गुरश्री चरणारविन्दम्।
The Nectar of Devotion is a summary study of Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, which was written in Sanskrit by Śrila Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda. He was the chief of the 6 Gosvāmīs, who were the direct disciples of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. When he first met Lord Caitanya, Śrila Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda was engaged as a minister in the Mohammedan government of Bengal. He and his brother Sanātana were then named Sākara Mallik and Dabir Khās respectively, and they held responsible posts as ministers of Nawab Hussain Shah. At that time, 500 years ago, the Hindu society was very rigid, and if a member of the Brahmin caste accepted the service of a Mohammedan ruler, he was at once rejected from Brahmin society. That was the position of the 2 brothers, Dabir Khās and Sākara Mallik. They belonged to the highly situated sārasvata-brāhmaṇa community, but they were ostracized due to their acceptance of ministerial posts in the government of Hussain Shah. It is the grace of Lord Caitanya that he accepted these 2 exalted personalities as his disciples and raised them to the position of Gosvāmīs, the highest position of brahminical culture. Similarly, Lord Caitanya accepted Haridāsa Thākur as his disciple, although he happened to be born of a Mohammedan family, and Lord Caitanya later on made him the ācārya of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Lord Caitanya's principle is universal. Anyone who knows the science of Krishnan and is engaged in the service of the Lord is accepted as being in a higher position than a person born in the family of a Brahmin. That is the original principle accepted by all Vedic literatures, especially by the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. The principle of Lord Caitanya's movement in educating and elevating everyone to the exalted post of a Gosvāmī is taught in the Nectar of Devotion. Lord Caitanya met the 2 brothers, Dabir Khās and Sākara Mallik, in a village known as Ramakeli in the district of Malda, and after that meeting the brothers decided to retire from government service and join Lord Caitanya. Sākara Mallik, who was later to become Rūpa Gosvāmī, retired from his post and collected all the money he had accumulated during his service. It is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that his accumulated savings in gold coins equaled millions of dollars and filled a large boat. He divided the money in a very exemplary manner which should be followed by devotees in particular and by humanity in general. 50% of his accumulated wealth was distributed to the Krishna conscious persons, namely the Brahmin and the Vaisnavas. 25% was distributed to relatives, and 25% was kept against emergency expenditures and personal difficulties. Later on, when Dabir Khās also proposed to retire, the Nawab was very much agitated and put him into jail. But Sākara Mallik, who was later to become Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī, took advantage of his brother's personal money, which had been deposited with a village banker, and escaped from the prison of Hussain Shah. In this way, both brothers joined Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Rūpa Gosvāmī first met Lord Caitanya at Prayag, Allahabad, India, and on the Dashashvamedh bathing ghat of that holy city, the Lord instructed him continually for 10 days. The Lord particularly instructed Rūpa Gosvāmī on the science of Krishna consciousness. These teachings of Lord Caitanya to Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda are narrated in our book Teachings of Lord Caitanya. Later, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda elaborated the teachings of the Lord with profound knowledge of revealed scriptures and authoritative references from various Vedic literatures. Srila Srinivasacharya describes in his prayers to the 6 Gosvāmīs that they were all highly learned scholars, not only in Sanskrit, but also in foreign languages, such as Persian and Arabian. They very scrutinizingly studied all the Vedic scriptures in order to establish the cult of Caitanya Mahāprabhu on the authorized principles of Vedic knowledge. The present Krishna consciousness movement is also based on the authority of Śrila Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda. We are therefore generally known as Rupanugas, or followers in the footsteps of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda. It is only for our guidance that Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī prepared his book Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, which is now presented in the form of the Nectar of Devotion. Persons engaged in the Krishna consciousness movement may take advantage of this great literature and be very solidly situated in Krishna consciousness. Bhakti means devotional service. Every service has some attractive feature which drives the servitor progressively on and on. Every one of us within this world is perpetually engaged in some sort of service, and the impetus for such service is the pleasure we derive from it. Driven by affection for his wife and children, a family man works day and night. A philanthropist works in the same way for love of the greater family, and a nationalist for the cause of his country and countrymen. That force which drives the philanthropist, the householder, and the nationalist is called ras, or a kind of mellow relationship, whose taste is very sweet. Bhakti ras is a mellow different from the ordinary ras enjoyed by mundane workers. Mundane workers labor very hard day and night in order to relish a certain kind of ras, which is understood as sense gratification. The relish or taste of the mundane ras does not long endure, and therefore mundane workers are always apt to change their position of enjoyment. A businessman is not satisfied by working the whole week. Therefore, wanting a change for the weekend, he goes to a place where he tries to forget his business activities. Then, after the weekend is spent in forgetfulness, he again changes his position and resumes his actual business activities. Material engagement means accepting a particular status for some time and then changing it. This position of changing back and forth is technically known as bhog tyag, which means a position of alternating sense enjoyment and renunciation. A living entity cannot steadily remain either in sense enjoyment or in renunciation. Change is going on perpetually, and we cannot be happy in either state because of our eternal constitutional position. Sense gratification does not endure for long, and it is therefore called kapala sukha, or flickering happiness. For example, an ordinary family man who works very hard day and night and is successful in giving comforts to the members of his family thereby relishes a kind of mellow, but his whole advancement of material happiness immediately terminates along with his body as soon as his life is over. Death is therefore taken as the representative of God for the atheistic class of men. The devotee realizes the presence of God by devotional service, whereas the atheist realizes the presence of God in the shape of death. At death, everything is finished, and one has to begin a new chapter of life in a new situation, perhaps higher or lower than the last one. In any field of activity, political, social, national, or international, the result of our actions will be finished with the end of life. That is sure. Bhakti ras, however, the mellow relished in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, does not finish with the end of life. It continues perpetually, and is therefore called Amrit, that which does not die but exists eternally. This is confirmed in all Vedic literatures. The Bhagavad Gita says that a little advancement in bhakti ras can save the devotee from the greatest danger, that of missing the opportunity for human life. The rasas derived from our feelings in social life, in family life, or in the greater family life of altruism, philanthropism, nationalism, socialism, communism, etc., do not guarantee that one's next life will be as a human being. We prepare our next life by our actual activities in the present life. A living entity is offered a particular type of body as a result of his action in the present body. These activities are taken into account by a superior authority known as Devi, or the authority of God. This Dev is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as the prime cause of everything, and in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that a man takes his next body by Dev Nitrena, which means by the supervision of the authority of the Supreme. In an ordinary sense, Daiv is explained as destiny. Dev supervision gives us a body selected from 84 lakh forms. The choice does not depend on our selection, but is awarded to us according to our destiny. If our body at present is engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness, then it is guaranteed that we will have at least a human body in our next life. A human being engaged in Krishna consciousness, even if unable to complete the course of Bhakti Yoga, take birth in the higher division of human society so that he can automatically further his advancement in Krishna consciousness.